like women, but there were some women that he, what can we call it, tolerated, and was very, very kind to. He loved his mother. He loved his two aunts, especially Aunt Rose, the violent one that obviously Ronnie took over a lot of her that was in Ronnie, but they adored them from little boys upwards. She'd buy them presents every week, little train sets and cars and whatever. They were running from the house into her house.
So she could handle it.
She could handle them, yeah. Even when she'd go, Ronnie, stop it now. Now stop it. Leave Reggie alone. He's got a girlfriend. We all like her. She's lovely. Now stop it.
And she still talked to him.
But would never turn around and say, why don't you go out and get yourself a girlfriend?
Did he?
Because the lovely boys were always around him. Beautiful, but they had to be lovely.
Did Violet, good taste, so did he bring anyone home to meet Violet?
Boys?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
So
Bobby Buckley was in the house a lot. Bobby Buckley was the favourite.
So how was Violet with his friends?
Well, once he had told his mother.
Right.
Because when they told Charlie was shocked. And he said, oh, you know, I wondered why you never seen with women. You haven't got a girlfriend. He said, well, that's how I am and that's how it is and that's how you're all going to take it. That's it. I don't want to hear no more about it.
Right.
Finished. That was the end of the conversation.
Right.
Reggie, of course, already knew from probably 16, I would say, years of age.
Yeah.
He'd much prefer... He had a couple of girlfriends. He did have a couple of girlfriends when he was about 17, 18. I think he even went to bed with a couple of girls, but he didn't like it. Right. It wasn't for him. He was definitely gay.
And did he have a love of his life? Did he actually meet somebody that you would have thought?
I'd say he preferred Bobby Buckley. I'd say Bobby Buckley was the favourite, and if you was to ask people like Chris Lambriano or Freddie Foreman at this time, they'd probably say, yeah, that was his favourite. But when he first met Bobby Buckley, like it's in a film somewhere, I think, he said, "What's those clothes that you've got?" He said, "Oh, my mum bought me this suit." "Yeah, did she?" He gave him £50. "You know Woods down Whitechapel?" "Yeah, I pass it." "Go down there, tell them Ronnie Krays said you're to have a suit, 2 shirts and some nice ties, and do something about those shoes."
So he had him dressed.
Yeah, and then of course the next week he had a lovely watch. Right. Then the next week he'd have a lovely ring on his small finger. He was very, very good to them, very generous. And this is why I kill the rumour, and people still ask me to this very day, and they'll probably ask me next week. This big blown up story in the Daily Mirror, the peer and the gangster, he had been questioned about a homosexual affair with Lord Boothby. Well, when I went to Broadmoor, I used to go every month to Broadmoor, and I said to Ronnie, "Do you know people always ask me about you and Lord Boothby?" "Oh, that silly old sod." That's how he used to describe that. "Oh, silly old sod, silly idiot." I said, "Yeah, but you know they say sometimes, Ronnie, that, you know, it went further than that." I used to talk to him like his mum talked to him. And that's why I always got on with him and he liked me. I was never forceful with Ronnie. I was with Reggie and Charlie, but not.
But you knew,
and that's how I'd talk to him. They asked me if you know, had an affair with... An affair? He said, "Oh, Flanagan, they've got to be beautiful." He loved the word. Yes. "They've got to be beautiful. I like them well dressed. They mustn't touch me in public. Because you know," and he'd say it, "I'm not a puff."
Really?
He said, "I go to clubs sometimes in the West End, there's a boy sitting there and a man, and he's got his arm round him, or he's stroking his hair, or they'd hold hands." He said, "Nobody touches me." I said, "No, I always noticed that when you're out, and no hugs from other men. Like men going to a pub today, you'll see, 'Hello, Joe,' cuddle them. Some men kiss another man. Well, you could never have done that to the twins. Never in a million. They don't like to be touched. They didn't drive. I said to Ronnie once, don't you drive, Ron? She said, I don't, you'd have to have those keys on you and touch the steering wheel.
Yeah.
I don't like anything dirty. And the keys that you have to put in your pocket, I don't want that in my suit, making a bulge. No, I don't like anything like that. I can have a driver, I can have any driver I like. So that killed that rumour, because he would have said to me.
He would have said to you,
I know he would have said to me quietly, yeah, I did it to get round him or whatever. But I know he could never in a million years
drop his standards,
touch Boothby or let Boothby touch him. They used Boothby for who he was.
Right.
You know, yes, he was homosexual. Yes, he was married at one time, but they'd go to the clubs with him, and then Ronnie started having orgies where they'd bring the young boys, and Boothby was there, and Dryburgh, the MP, was there, and some other well-known faces that they come to know were homosexuals.
Yeah.
But I looked at him then and I thought, yeah, I knew I was always right. I knew he could never have done anything with Boothby.
And it's interesting the way you say that you talk to him like his mum talked to him.
That's
and you
right.
talk to Charlie and Reg completely different.
Completely different.
So when Violet was on her deathbed, she made you promise, didn't she,
did.
that you would visit her boys?
In the hospital, yes. I was with my friend, an East End girl called Jackie Docker. I said, she's supposed to be very, very bad now. Let's go and see her for the afternoon. We walked in for the afternoon. We took her some flowers. And she saw me. And she said to the nurse, said, you can only stay for an hour. She said, no. She said, it's all right. She said, that's my daughter. They didn't even know nothing about whether she ever had a daughter. She did have a daughter, but it only lived for a little while. And then the next year she had the twins. And I sat on the bed and I said, do you know what, Violet? I said, I'm going to tidy your hair up now. Have you been to sleep? She said, yes. I said, it's all messy at the back. Let me sit her up. I did her pillows for her. We had some tea from the nurse. Jackie Docker's done the tea and the biscuits. And I've just done her hair tie. She said, Charlie's coming 5 o'clock. So I thought, she's telling me, stay here till 5 o'clock. Right. Didn't want to be on her own. I think she knew, you know. And then she said, you know, I've given up smoking. I said, Violet, you only had 1 cigarette a week. She said, I've stopped smoking because it's good for me. And I thought, well, I'll just let her talk, ramble on. She said, I want to say something to you. I said, oh, what do you want to say? I want you to promise me something. I said, okay. What do you want me to promise you? No, you must say your promise first. I said, anything you want done, Violet, I will do. What do you want? She said, you will continue to visit the boys because they won't have any woman to visit. I said, well, they've got, you know, a cousin or two. There's Kim at Bethnal Green. There's another couple of cousin boys. She said, no. She said, you go. You've been with me. You've been with Charlie. You've been on your own. Tell me that you will visit them. I said, I will continue to visit them till I die. She said, no, don't say that. Don't say, you're not going to die. And I said, okay. She said, but I want to tell you something. I said, yes, sure. I want you particularly to continue to visit Reg. You could have bet me any diamonds that I've got, anything I've got in my life, I would have put down, swore that she would have said, continue to visit Ronnie. Really? Being her favourite. Yeah. And I looked at her, I said, why have I got to... She said, because Ronnie can have any visitors he likes. He can have film stars go to see him, and judges, and pop stars go to see him, and all the friends from the East End, all the boxers, everybody goes to Ronnie. But Reggie can only have 6 visits a month. I said, oh, in Parkhurst. She said, yes. I said, well, okay, you know, all right, I will. She said, and you, she said, you know how to talk to Reggie, she said, and you'll do his letters for him and keep writing the letters for the parole. She didn't say keep writing the letters for the parole for Ronnie. Once I think she knew he was in Broadmoor, I think he said to her, I'm all right in here, Mum. I'll stay in here. Right. Oh, and he used to say that on a visit. I used to tell him about the parole certificate.
Did he not want to get out?
No. 10,000 signatures I collected. I did events in pubs all around the East End, left them on pub bars. They used to, and in greengrocers, everywhere in the East End I had petitions.
And knowing that he was quite happy.
I wrote to the Home Office, I wrote to the Queen. In my book,
did you get
you would get a reply from the Home Office, and somebody obviously writes back to you for the Queen that it will be dealt with by the Home Office. That's the nice way from Buckingham Palace of saying that the receipt is in the book. It's all printed. That I got the. They knew that I would continue those, but when you went to Ronnie and said, "Oh, I collected 10,000 this time, Ron, and I've sent them to the Home Office for parole for both of you," he used to say, "Don't worry about me." What are you talking about? You're not going to come home. You got 30 years. Well, let's hope you serve 20 or some number after 20. No. He said, "I'll stay in here. I'm all right in here." But
did he worry about his brother?
Continue to do it for Reg. And I thought, here's a man, the most feared man in London at the time. He's saying to me, you know, "I'm going to stay in here, I'm going to dine." He said, "I won't come out for you." I said, "You will. Don't say that. You will, Ron." He said, "No, I won't, but continue for Reggie."
Did Reggie believe that he would be released?
Himself or Ronnie?
No, him. Did he believe
you
were doing all of this work?
Oh, yes. Remember, then
so was he asking you all the time, "Where are we at? How many signatures?
Have you had a reply from the Home Office?" "Yes, I have." "What do they say?" "Your next parole is in October." It's every October you go before a parole board. "Oh, well, you know what happened last time," and blah, blah, blah. Then he was moved to Maidstone, and I sent another petition in because it was a much softer prison, which I think he thought he would always be released from Maidstone. But then he got sent to Wayland, you see, where he became very, very ill. And even all the doctors in both prisons, Maidstone and Wayland, were treating him for an ulcer. They were giving him milk of magnesia tablets, which you give for anybody with an ulcer because you're told to drink a lot of milk, rice puddings, anything that've got milk in them, which coats the ulcer. Until he married Roberta. When he married Roberta, good thing I will say about her, she demanded an X-ray. And they hadn't given him one yet. And he was taken out and given an X-ray, and that's when they told him he had terminal cancer, bowel cancer.
How did he take that?
Which I think he's still, knowing Reg and his quest for life, he was a fighter, that he still thought there was time. Okay, so he had cancer, but people can live 5-10 years with cancer. You don't have to die. I thought he would live and just get out, even if he got out for a couple of years.
And how much longer from being diagnosed to when he passed?
Year and a half.
Not long.
But for a year he was being treated for an ulcer.
And how did he feel within himself?
He was in terrible pain.
Did he go downhill very quickly?
Yeah, and lost a lot of weight. Used to still come out on the visits with the file of papers under his arm, and I used to think, "Oh God, what have I got to do now before the weekend?"
So you always had work,
didn't you? Do the correspondence.
Yeah.
He'd come out and ask you 100 questions before he said hello.
Yeah.
You know, sit down. "All right, Flan. No. Now, what I want you to do, I want you to go here, go there, and you to get this one signature, and then I want sent in here a tracksuit."
Now, we were talking to Dave Courtney, and he said it always cost him money on a visit because he always had a list of things that he had to go and buy. So what did you find you had to buy?
Not really. He didn't cost me money. That was because Dave Courtney, being a man, he would expect presents from. He used to say to me to go to people to get the money. Like I'd go to Charlie Magri, the ex-champion boxer, and he was only a little guy, but he had a pub in the East End called the Victoria. And I'd go and I'd say, "Charlie, I've been to see Reggie. He wants a pair of Reebok trainers."
So he'd give him money.
You know, and I'd go up to a shop and buy Reebok trainers, right, because I knew the size. And then the next week he'd want a tracksuit. Are they still wearing, in all the names? And at the time it was very much Reebok. That was a big name at the time.
Right.
Before maybe Adidas came, everybody wanted Reebok. I knew from my own son that what they want. I'd have to go and get somebody, some publican would say, how much are they, Flan? 30, 40 £, whatever. They'd give it to you for old times. Don't forget to tell him that I sent it, blah, blah. Wish him well. And then I'd turn up. You have to leave it at the gate, obviously, to go in and put it in under his name. Ronnie was the same. We used to have to take things into Broadmoor, like the smoked salmon bagels. I used to have to get in somebody's car, you go to Crowthorne in Berkshire to Broadmoor. And as you walked in, you know, you couldn't take them into the visiting hall to eat at the table because you had to put them in his box that he'd have for that evening.
Right.
And he'd sit there. And when people say he had a butler, we won't call him a butler. We'll call him a young man in there that he obviously quite liked. He'd serve you tea and coffee. And he used to say, go and get those things in the kitchen. And he'd wink. Go and get those things in the kitchen that I told you to get this morning because Flanagan will be here. And the boy would scurry away and he'd come back with 2 strawberry tarts.